Total War Saga Troy has its last DLC coming out on December 14th, and it focuses on two very interesting characters from the Iliad, Rhesus and Memnon. As thus, we will continue our series on which campaign should you play for Total War Saga Troy, and today we'll be focusing on the Ethiopian hero, Memnon. And if you'd like to watch the coverage on any of the other videos, you can find that linked in the upper right corner, as well as at the end of the video, any other heroes, I mean. But typically, I couple these videos together, but I'm splitting them apart and covering just Memnon today, with Rhesus being covered 2 days from now. In this video, we'll quickly go over the campaign from turn 1 to discuss the unique mechanics and units of Memnon's campaign. And just as with the other videos, this is not a guide on how to play the campaign, but rather a spoiler-free primer on what is included, as well as an explanation of how the campaign plays out to give you an idea of whether or not it's the campaign for you. And in my typical fashion of upfronting the knowledge in this video, I will say that Memnon plays very similarly to Tarok's the Brass Bull from Total War Warhammer 2. He's a horde army that just lays waste to everything that he comes across. Memnon, as an actual character, was said to be a rival of Achilles in strength, so we see that reflected in his ability to absolutely KO other heroes on the battlefield. With post-siege options to either increase your horde growth or continue on destroying your enemy, you're going to find that the beginning of Memnon's campaign can be slow when you're starved for resources, but you'll hit a very hard upward slope upward ramp that allows you to take off, destroying the Danaans before they can reach the gates of Troy. You'll love this campaign if you want to eschew the normal method of play throughout Troy and focus solely on a strong military led by a proper badass that karate chops his way through the Aegean. So that's the quick down and dirty breakdown of Memnon's campaign. And if that's all you wanted to know, feel free to head on out. But before you do, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. I can't tell you how much that helps the channel out. And lastly, if you've not yet pre-ordered or picked up this DLC or any of Troy's DLCs, you can do so using the Nexus link in my description and pinned comment. You'll get a Steam key directly from the developer, and it is a great way to support the channel. Let's get started on Memnon's campaign. Is it right for you in Total War Saga Troy? Looking at the campaign starter screen, we can see some things about Memnon's campaign that are pretty evident. He's got a number of special faction mechanics here. He's got Pharaoh's Servant, Resourceful Strategist, and Horde. So obviously he will be a Horde army, meaning that he will not have the ability to set up shop in any settlements, no provinces, nothing like that. And with Resourceful Strategist, you'll find that he does not recruit agents in the conventional way. He'll be able to basically fix agents into his army, and we'll show how that works in just a little bit. And then lastly, Pharaoh's Servant allows him to recruit from across the many regions of Egypt. Now, Memnon is a character that is visiting the lands here, right? He's from Egypt in its new kingdom. This is around the rulership of Amenhotep III, which is, I think, the tail end of the 18th dynasty. And Ethiopia itself is the lands of Kush. Ethiopia is what the Greeks called the lands of Kush. And Kush is pretty much everything south of the first cataract. So pretty much you get lower Egypt, Upper Egypt, and then Kush, which is eventually becomes Nubia. But like I said before, Kush or Nubia is called Ethiopia by the Greeks. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong there. But the new kingdom, as it were, for the Egyptians spans into the Levant as well as portions of the western kind of tail end of Asia. So we'll see all that represented here with the Pharaoh's Servant, because it allows you to pull a whole bunch of different unique units into Memnon's army, because he doesn't have a conventional recruitment method. He uses these servants to he uses this mechanic, Pharaoh's Servants, to pull in reinforcements from abroad. And it's a pretty cool mechanic that we'll get into in just a little bit. But as it is here with his army, he does not get access to any of the defender champions. He is relegated strictly to the archers, to the spiders, and then to the warlords. And then for some unique units, he gets quite a few actually. This just shows 3 of them. We get some heavy chariots right here. Nothing really crazy as far as special abilities, just very heavy armor, some great melee attack and defense, as well as a very high amount of damage and charge bonus as to be expected with a chariot. Then we get the Sheridan warriors here, which have some pretty nice statistics. They have a regenerative capability here with battlefield healing, so as long as they're out of combat, they will replenish their health. They can also fire wills to moving, which is nice, with a nice 45 armor-piercing missile damage with a 75 range. Only 2 shots, though, of course. These things aren't going to be running around and harassing anything, but they themselves as well do quite a significant amount of damage with a nice bonus versus spearmen. So 160 total damage with 56 melee attack and defense. These guys are pretty nice on the battlefield here. Then we also get the Magi Warriors. Now, if you played Assassin's Creed Origins, you know what that is. So you get a 2-handed spear infantry unit that is going to be quite good because it will boost the morale of everything around with Encourage. If I can actually hover over it, there you go. And it also has the ability here, Leader's Will, to buff its own morale. So it is a light armored unit with only 30 armor, but it does quite a bit of damage at 120, 55 charge bonus here with some good melee attack and melee defense. But we'll take a look at some of the other units in the retinue of Memnon as we jump into the campaign here. But this gives you just kind of a nice brief overview of what to expect as you jump in. And it does say starting situation easy. I will say that this is, at the very earliest stages, a little kind of finicky as you kind of adapt yourself to the new mechanics. But like I said, once you get going, you will take off very quickly as Memnon. So here we are in the actual campaign for Memnon, and I do everything in Mythos mode because it's to me, that's the way Troy should have been. And just as a heads up, guys, as you can see in the upper left corner, this is still development in progress. So if some things change when the game goes live, I just want that to kind of be told up front in case some statistics change or some numbers here and there. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the mechanics here for Memnon, jumping into his war spoils. Now, this is not a terribly unique mechanic. I think that the Amazonians get this with Hippolyta. I can't remember off the top of my head. But basically, if I want to find, say, stone, raising this settlement will grant us 220 stone. Click this, and it immediately jumps me there. Basically, the war spoils is a way to give you direction in your campaign as a horde army, or to focus on any kind of specific resource, specific devotion, whatever it is you're looking to boost, you can do it through this menu. Like, you know what? I really need some centaurs. Well, click this. That's going to add them to the recruitment pool. I'll go and sack this territory. So war spoils is just a way to give you a little bit of direction if you are aimless in your horde escapades throughout the lands. As you can see, that's going to be tons of food. Wouldn't be a bad target versus this one's going to give us a lot of bronze should we raise this settlement. So that's just a quick little jump into that, because our first actual mechanic is Pharaoh's servants. And like I said, this would be the land of Egypt at the time. They had pushed up against Canaan, and up against the Hittites over here in Canaan, and won a bunch of very sizable victories. So this would be the lands of Egypt at this time, this whole area, and it's divided into 4 regions: Egypt, Ethiopia, Canaan, and Susa. And these lands grant you access to units. Let's go ahead and click Kerma here. Actually, I think Napata is the easiest one to pull from. And when you take a look at this, you'll see that there are reinforcement costs for each region, which will then grant you units. And these units will enter into your special recruitment pool. They won't immediately become part of your army. You click this button, call reinforcements, and then you can disseminate across however many armies you want to, whatever units you want. So it's not just simply, okay, I'm pressing this button and they immediately pop into my army. I have to actually choose them myself. But you'll be able to take a look through this menu and see that, okay, if I press call reinforcements, I'm going to get 2 Ethiopian tribesmen, because that says provided units is 2, 1 Ethiopian hunter, and then 1 Ethiopian spearman, and it's going to cost 500 food and 820 wood. Let's just go ahead and press that real quick to show you what it does. There we go. So what you'll notice is that Sais, I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation, can no longer be recruited for. You can only do 1 region at a time. So if I have all 3 of these unlocked, and if I have got all the resources, which we don't have for Kerma here, then you can pull all from all 3 of these locations in this 1 region. So it's worth noting that you can say, okay, I'm going to focus on just recruitment from Egypt in this turn, Well, and I've got just enough resources to do both Thebes and Memphis. Well, you can do so. It just locks you into that location, into that region to pull your recruitment from. Like I said, with Kerma, I can still pull here, but I just don't have the actual resources to do so. But after you press call reinforcements, you click on Memnon, special recruitment, and there you go. They just kind of enter here. Go ahead, pop them in, and press recruit. It doesn't cost you anything to do it. You've already paid the cost up front, and they're immediately put in. It will, of course, hit your upkeep, so you do have to be mindful of that. In fact, I didn't show that, but it will be part of that actual upkeep. You're going to have to start paying for them, of course. So that is how the Pharaoh Servant works, and it's pretty cool, right? Because this will also play into another mechanic, which we'll go into in just a second. But this expands over here to Susa, where we get our Sheridan Warriors, our Elamite Stone Slingers from the Elams, which are a really awesome civilization. Yaha, where we get the Magi. So this is where you would start to pull all of your cool, unique units from. You just have to simply get the reinforcement amount. And as we actually look at Memnon himself, you can see that since he is a horde, go ahead and click the building browser. He has a bunch of military administration and temple buildings that can kind of help curb some of the cost here of doing this call reinforcements ability, right? Or at least give bonuses to what we do recruit. So plus 10 morale to all units from Egyptian territories. So that would be Thebes, Memphis, and Sais, the other one I butchered the pronunciation of. And each one of these right here, so this is going to give us bonuses to ranged missile units in our hero's army. And this goes all the way to the top to giving us bonuses to our +1 recruitment rank of Ethiopian units. This is going to give us bonuses to Canaan territory. So basically every single one of these is going to give us some sort of advantage towards either recruiting stuff from those territories, reducing upkeep, giving bonuses to the recruitment rank, their actual durability as far as their defense or health goes, or melee attack, whatever it really is. Then administration wise, we're going to get the ability to help out with damage. Here we can get administration efficiency for royal decrees, reduces the construction cost of all horde buildings. So pretty much moving through these as it sees fit according to what units you're recruiting or what specific goals you have in mind for that army are going to be very crucial, because again, this is a horde army. You just simply press this button and you're jumping back and forth between the buildings that are statically always present with Memnon and his actual army itself. Now the other mechanic is Resourceful Strategist. Now this one's pretty interesting, and I don't know if we have enough resources to do this. Let's see if we do.
King of Ethiopia.
Oh, this button. We do. Okay, we'll recruit this guy.
Exploring.
So we just popped in another hero real quick just to show this off. So when we jump into Resourceful Strategist, we get the ability to assign followers, basically, to the army of every army in Memnon's faction. So you can see here that I've got Memnon selected, and these are the followers I can pull from Egypt, Ethiopia, Canaan, and Susa. Then if I also want, I can do the same thing with this follower. Now these are relegated to just the, to this army. They're relegated to the army itself. So let's see, do I have any? Okay, I've got just enough to do this guy. So this is going to reduce the morale of all enemy units, enemy armies in this region. Assign follower, done. So camp followers are assigned. I get it, they're assigned. Then we jump back to Resourceful Strategist, and you can see that this is now colored in, right? It's got that little kind of nice orangey, red, yellow background. And if I click on Fanuku, you can see it is not colored in. And if this character is to die, I lose that follower. If Memnon dies, it's not that case because Memnon can't be destroyed, right? So you have to kind of be mindful of this when you are making a second or third or fourth army, that any followers you assign will be lost if that army is lost, if the character is not immortal. So just be mindful of that when you are using this mechanic. But you'll see that there are padlocks for the center portions of this, just like there are padlocks here on the Pharaoh servants for these regions, right? Remember I said that there's another mechanic that plays into all this? Let's jump over to the Royal Decrees. So for the most part, almost every single hero in Total War Saga Troy has a very similar Royal Decree. In fact, everyone for the exception of the Amazonians have the same Royal Decrees pretty much. Maybe one or two things are different here and there, but the Amazonians have their own kind of custom layout that is very similar to this, but Memnon gets his own slew of custom royal decrees. And you can kind of see like this one right here, Emissary Network, +1 to regions per turn from which units can be called as reinforcements. And you'll see that there are certain icons, like these little heads, that will give you access to certain things. Let's hover over this one right here. Unlocks additional camp followers from Canaan and unlocks the Canaan territory of Megiddo, where you can recruit units from. This one right here will reduce the cost of Canaan units. So usually it's like thematic, right? Like this is going to be African territories and this is going to be Ethiopian stuff. So unlocks additional camp followers from Ethiopia and unlocks the Ethiopian territory of Yeha. Then you've got for this location, it's going to be Egyptian, and then it's going to unlock more Egyptian camp followers and the territory of Thebes. So you get an idea that you go through the specific ones you want to focus on in your campaign. And really, moreover, you look at like, hey, you know, we're already at a deficit of bronze. Maybe we start into pottery kilns to give us an passive bronze income per turn. And then we'll start moving down here towards, let's say, this one. That will unlock the very elite units from Susa and unlocks the camp followers from Susa as well. And it's worth keeping in mind that to unlock some of these, you need to get certain recruitments done, or you have to progress through certain royal decrees, do as many certain objectives on the campaign map. It's not as cut and dry as other royal decrees, which simply you can press here and the whole thing's going to just move through it. So it's a different royal decree system than any other hero for the most part, because you're a little bit more objective based this time around, because you're trying to focus on specific things for your campaign. Because like I said, those royal decrees will unlock those camp followers and specific regions to recruit from, like Memphis here if you want to get the chariot runners, or the Memphite infantry, or the sentry chariots, or Thebes if you want to get these really nice infantry units, these archers, so on and so forth. So you have to keep these kind of things in mind when you are playing as Memnon, because he's a pretty destructive character on the battlefield too, right? Taking a look at his profile, he's got 1429 in damage, and he does quite a bit of bonus versus heroes here. He is just a meaty little powerhouse with 55 armor. It's not the most, of course. He does have a nice little shield on him, and he is meant to destroy the other heroes. He starts with Pharaoh's Writ, which gives him, where is it? There we go. Morale to all units in Hero's Aura, morale to all heroes, units in Hero's Army, and +5 attack of all melee attack for all units. So using Memnon is a lot of fun, because like I said, it's kind of like Diomedes, it's kind of like Achilles, where you can just do a ton of damage to the other person on the battlefield. And in my opinion, those characters are extremely strong in Total War Saga Troy, because you can negate the other hero's ability to do just so much. So I really do like playing as Memnon, because he is that destructive force on the battlefield. Now, one of the other things I want to talk about with Memnon is that post-battle option when it comes to sieging a city. This is very similar to Talks the Brass Bull from Total War Warhammer 2, like I was saying. And also with this DLC, we get another convention that came with the Talks Brass Bull DLC. When I go to hover over auto-resolve, you can see all units in red will be destroyed in this battle. All units in yellow will be severely damaged in this battle, and that is then reflected on the left side of the screen. You can see right next to Memnon, those guys are going to get really beaten up. Press auto-resolve here, and that will go ahead and do this. We'll jump through that. A decisive victory indeed, and we get two options here. Raise and Enslave, which is going to give us a less amount of resources, but we'll get this, Regroup. This army will regain 30% campaign movement after raising a settlement, +7 to horde growth, and +2% to casualty replenishment rate. The other option for Raise and Kill will give us more resources, and then we'll increase our unit's fighting capability. So this army will regain 30% campaign movement rate after raising settlements, so just like the previous one, but +7 to melee damage of all units and 7 to melee attack of all units. So I'll just press Raise and Kill. So if I want to then chain this into another quick victory here, we can try and just jump immediately over to this guy, and just go ahead and press auto-resolve here. And that will enable us to win again. And these things are the same, right? Let them lie. This is going to give us treasury amount. Put them to death, which is going to increase the morale of all units, or then take them on, which is going to increase replenishment. So these are some of the just kind of things that Memnon gets access to across all of his mechanics with Resourceful Strategist, and then with Pharaoh's Servant, as well as his Royal Decree system, as you can see is pretty crazy here. One last thing to touch on before we kind of close things out is the diplomacy screen here for Memnon. In the Iliad, he was seen as this person that would come to Troy and really be the savior of Troy. And as thus, you already start off with a ton of diplomacy, non-aggression pact with Hector of Troy, military access with Troy itself, non-aggression with Paris of Troy, and then military access here with Lycia. So keep these things in mind, because right here is Sarpedon, just to your, well, I guess if you're looking at the orientation, just to your east. What is this? What is this? This is like northeast or so? Whatever it is. He's right over here is what I'm trying to get at. And this gives you a lot of options to get any kind of issues you're having with food or wood in your early Pharaoh Servant recruitment pool. You know what? We just don't have the wood right now. Well, you start off with an abundance of bronze, and everyone needs it. So that's kind of what makes this a very easy campaign. You start off with abundance of bronze also because I destroyed Lindo, so keep that in mind, please. So I can jump over here into diplomacy. Let's just go to Lycia, and we'll do a quick deal. No, we'll do negotiate. Single barter and just get, we'll type in like 3,000. He doesn't even have it. And with this DLC, we get Make It Work. Boom, it just pops in the thing to do it. There we go. So you can get a ton of resources easy if you don't have them by focusing on a specific resource that people need and then using that to trade with them. So these are just some of the ways that you can really take off in Memnon's campaign. And as I said, this campaign is really going to be for you if you want to focus on conquering virtually everything in a lot of chain attacks by, okay, I just sacked that city, then took out that guy. I could have also been sacking a city, then trying to sack another city close to it. So Memnon is definitely going to be that campaign for you if you're looking to relive your Tarox the Brass Bull days of Total War Warhammer 2 and Total War Saga Troy, or if you just want to have a very strong military that is just laying waste to everything. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of how Memnon plays. And before we conclude our video here for Memnon, one thing I forgot to go over are his unique skills as well, a character that pulls from a lot of different regions in the world. Looking at these two, he gets Blessings of Ethiopia, which is going to reduce the upkeep cost for all units from the Napata territory. And he can also do this, which reduces the upkeep cost of Ethiopian Spearmen. And this one that reduces the same upkeep cost reduction for your hunters. On the other end, he's got Blessings of Egypt, which will reduce any upkeep cost from the Sais territory, as well as your upkeep for Nefru infantry or the Egyptian slingers. And then all the way down here towards the bottom, he gets Pharaoh's Edict, which is pretty cool here. It's going to increase morale and then stamina over 40 seconds, which he can then increase to do a huge bonus to armor-piercing damage for both missiles and melee. And then to Pharaoh's Edict, which is going to help with armor on this one if he goes down this route. Increase armor by 30%. On the other end, he's got Foreign Curse, which is pretty wild, reduces armor by 20%, melee by 30%, melee defense by 30%, and melee attack by 20%. And you can upgrade this to increase its duration, or to make it an aura to do damage, or to hit everyone in a 40 meter radius around Memnon here. So just wanted to quickly hit on those unique skills for Memnon's campaign. At that, it brings our video here to a close. So hopefully going through some of these mechanics and showing you how these mechanics actually play into each other gives you an idea now of the type of character and campaign that Memnon gives you access to. He is, like I said, a very strong combatant on the battlefield, and he has the ability to pop up entire armies on one turn by using that call reinforcements capability on a brand new army you freshly recruited. You'll find that playing as Memnon will make the game not necessarily easy, but you're not going to be pressed to really fight really prolonged wars, because you can just get so much destruction out so quickly with Memnon's ability to just jump anywhere and do a ton of damage. He's not really tied down to any settlements or provinces in any one location, because he can get access to any of the mythological units he wants or any resources he wants by just simply targeting through his Spoils of War mechanic that shows where all those things are on the battlefield, or at least close enough to him on the campaign map. So hopefully, again, like I said, this gives you a good idea of how Memnon plays. A lot of people were worried that, hey, with this, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total Trojan heroes. But looking at the Danaans, they've always kind of held the line, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Danaan characters. So now, finally, after this DLC, the Trojans and the Danaans will have an equal number of heroes. And if you have any questions about Memnon, how his campaign plays, or you maybe get stuck in a little bit of it, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. More than happy to help you out in any way I can. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one, and take care.